And we are live here in the fandom zone. Tonight is a special night. One, because we are starting super early, and two, because this is not Zod and PB Talks. This is General Homelander and PB slash Watch the Boys Talks. That was a mouthful. Um,
Yes,
yeah.
it
So
was.
So this is an earlier stream, so we're probably going to get a few people who will watch this intro later. So let's start this off by saying um I am a completely biased person when it comes to this show.
No
I
fucking
love this.
way.
Oh yeah. If you guys couldn't tell, this is the Homelander from the comic book. I've read all of the comics. Hey, Jamie Vick. Hey, Timon Flip. I've read all the comics. I've got them all. I've analyzed the scenes that correlate with the comic books. I love this show. What up, Limit
Jesus
Pie?
Christ, man.
But you know, I can also I can also love something and be critical of it. Okay. So we're going to dive deep and I'm going to give you some honest opinions about what necessarily doesn't work for me in season two, because there is a couple of things. And
What?
yeah, believe it or not, I do have a few things that didn't come together as well as I would have liked. Like I got
Why?
where the
Because it's
ending of
not like the source material?
no, actually just story wise within the show.
Oh my
Uh
God.
it kind of took a while. And here's the thing, my first
What,
problem,
do
and
you
I've
take a
heard this.
perp nap or something? You wake up during
Yeah,
the second
I fell
episode
asleep.
and was like, hey man, I don't know what's going on. This show sucks.
No, here's the thing. Uh, first off, I think that this show is not meant to be released weekly. Why the fuck did we get a
Oh,
weekly format? That was the
oh, it was
most
so
terrible
great.
idea.
Oh, it was wonderful. I love the weekly format so much. It gives you that week to think about the episode, the week to talk about the episode, the week to anticipate the next episode instead of just watching it like one long movie. You just want to watch one long movie, don't you?
Basically, I want a Zack Snyder cut.
Oh my God, guy. You realize that he's going to bamboozle all of us because HBO is going to say that they gave him 30 million, so there's no way they're going to just put a 4 hour cut on to HBO Max. It's got to be six 30-minute installments or eight 30-minute install, whatever it takes to get them to however many fucking minutes this goddamn epic piece of crap is going to be. Anyway, I love the weekly
I just
format. I wish more shows would do the weekly format. I wish Netflix would do stuff with the weekly format, but then
they
everybody would
do.
riot.
No, they do for certain shows. But here's my issue. The story suffers with this format because I had to rewatch it to see stuff actually make sense. You know what I mean? There's certain things that if you watch it weekly, and my favorite person in the world, if you go on my channel, you know this by now, Jeremy Johns, brought up a
Johns?
great point.
Yeah.
He brought up a great point. This show seems, and it seemed like before Corona, it was constructed to be watched all at once. When you get it one episode at a time, it kind of feels like uh, elements, you lose them because you have to wait a week and then you have to go back and watch it and go, wait a second, this character is kind of acting weird because I don't understand what's going on here. It just, to me, the story suffered a lot more because of the
Oh,
wait.
so Jeremy
Rather,
Johns is exactly what I thought he was. A putz that can't remember and needs to watch everything at once. You gotta be able to
no,
remember stuff, man.
No, it's the structuring of the story feels like it was made to watch all at once. It doesn't feel like long form. For instance, as much as I hate to reference it, the CW, right? The way they do their shows, they do add the overall arching villain plot, right? But they have like something of the week to distract you. And then when you put it all together, it makes the full story. It's specifically structured so that when you have to wait a week, you don't really have to remember everything because it's a kind of its own thing. This is specifically like one event leads into the other, leads into the other. It feels like it should have been one continuous story that you can watch all at once, but they broke up for reasons. I don't know, but it felt like it
For
hurt the story.
monetary reasons.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Monetarization. But enough about my gripe about the
Gotta
story
make
for
that
that.
paper.
We all know it's about that money. But let's first talk about the good points. And in case you guys don't know, some of this is going to be spoilers because there's really no way you could talk
Some,
about this,
some.
or probably most, because there's no way you could talk about what happened without spoiling the shit out of it. So we're going to spoil the shit out of it. But here's the thing that worried me. When they started getting into the politics, I thought we were going to have a situation like you felt with the Umbrella Academy season 2. Like they were going to lean so heavily into it that it was going to ruin the show. And Stormfront is actually one of my favorite characters from the comic books. And amazingly, they do not tamper with the arc whatsoever. They merely switch the gender. And I can get
Wait,
behind the gender swap.
Stormfront used to be a man?
Yeah, it was a big German man. Kind of looked like Homelander. But
Okay.
they did they did everything that they did in the comic to Stormfront, just the female version. And I gotta say, the actress did a fucking tremendous job.
Wait, so this
Yeah,
big old German dude in the comic book had a meme squad?
yeah. He had his
How
own.
old
I
is this
think
comic book?
it came out like I want to say the 2000s, early 2000s.
Hmm, okay.
So it was the comic was basically a parody of like Marvel and DC. And Homefront was supposed to be like Thor and Shazam, basically, but a mockery. So where Thor was like Asgardian and Shazam was like this American kid, Homelander was a Nazi that doesn't die. So everything the artist did was a parody of another superhero. And so
Okay.
when they did this version, I got nervous, but I gotta say, the actress pulled it off. And one of the greatest things that they did with
Yeah.
this season is the social media aspect. I don't know about you, but I felt like it was spot on with how they played the media up in this season. What did you think about that line that they walked between social commentary and their story?
I thought that they did a far, far better job of being able to integrate real world aspects into the show and not preach about them, but have them be part of the storyline than the Umbrella Academy did. That's for sure. Because you can,
Yeah,
I mean, for people that have watched it, like the two of us have, you can see how the political side is just one aspect of the story, whereas in the Umbrella Academy, shit, for 2, 3 episodes there, it is the story.
and that's see, here's the thing that the boys did smart in their first season. they established to us, the viewer, that this was always going to be part of the story, and they were playing around with it. But in this one, I said, okay, they're taking hard stances clearly, but which side are they going to lead? And I'm going to pull a Ryan Johnson here, but they subverted our expectations. Ryan, this is how you actually fucking subvert expectations, you douchebag. But they play it very down the middle. Now there is inconsistencies. Once again, Jeremy Johns, my hero, pointed this out.
Jesus.
But there is some things they do at Homelander where they don't play up exactly what the backlash would have been, especially in the last episode when they find out he was basically banging a Nazi. And maybe that'll be in the next season. But, little nitpicks aside, because I'm trying not to be a biased shill, but I'm going to shill the shit out of the show. They walk the line of social commentary and they don't make it so one-sided. You can see both sides. Like the scene where she's talking about using social media as a tool to get people behind you. That is so true. It was very, very true to what we see right now. What's up, comic
Yeah,
chat?
she must have watched The Social Dilemma. I watched that
Oh yeah.
fucking thing. It was terrible.
I mean, she was around during the social dilemma.
She is the social dilemma. What are you talking about? She's a fucking Nazi.
I was waiting for you to say that. But no, I think the idea of the Nazi or that Nazi party idea coming back, but in a modern way, and especially the best line I heard was when she said, all we're using is the outrage to build or to further our cause. Now think about that. It's a commentary to both sides of the argument because both sides use outrage to further their argument. We've seen it on both ends of the spectrum. And I said,
No.
yeah, no, true story. But we've seen it in both sides, and it's amazing that this show is like this show does that aspect really well. So as far as social commentary goes, I think this show versus the Umbrella Academy did their politics way better. It wasn't a episode, it wasn't a highlight, it was just part of the world that it's in.
No, I was thinking about this on my drive home, comparing the two shows or contrasting the two shows, that The Boys does a much better job of telling their story and moving their plot and narrative forward, but the Umbrella Academy does a better job of developing their characters. Because I would say that I care and am interested in more individual characters in the Umbrella Academy, but I couldn't care less about the fucking story in the Umbrella Academy compared to The Boys. Like, The Boys' story is far more compelling than a story where you're just going to constantly be going back in time to try and fix your own fuck up over and over again, from what I get from it.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing that's interesting is, and it was another critique in a review, but at the same time, that's the interesting part about the show is that when you really think about it, you can name probably a few characters that have character developments, but really Billy Butcher is sidelined for a good majority of the episodes until we get to the end. Starlight, she was pretty big in the first season, but really doesn't do much until the end. The Deep is fucking non-existent. I think they didn't know what to do with him, so he's just fucking he's off to the side. Even fucking
he turns
A-Train.
well. I guess he does have some character development because he continues off of the deep end. Haha. But
Oh, I see what you did
the only thing I specifically remember from the season with him is when they kill that fucking whale.
there. I mean, it's like I felt like, and I've heard this said before in reviews, I felt like they were like, yeah, we need you for season 3, but we don't have shit for you to do in this season, so let's do a random cult church and you're just doing things. And he's like, okay.
Wait a second, hold on a sec. Is the church not in the comic book?
No. I that was purely added for the show.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I felt like and someone said it interesting, I believe it was Jeremy Johns again. He said
Of
the
course it
church
was.
this church scene felt like a purgatory for two characters that they couldn't really use. And he was right, because when you think of A Train and the Deep's plot, it all revolves around this church. And they're not really doing anything. And the only one who impacts the story at the very last episode is A Train. Although I did like uh, when they said, "Oh yeah, you're back in," and he was like, "I'm out, bitches."
Yeah,
like,
that's fucking hilarious.
like that was hilarious, but it did feel like the writers didn't have much to do, and that was my thing. Like the most character development we saw was Stormfront. Obviously, they wanted to build her up, which I think they did a very good job.
Well,
Homelander.
yeah, I think that they built her up quite well because I didn't know this at the beginning, but by the time you get to the end of the season, we find out that she's female Nazi Darth Vader, man. And she literally ends up exactly fucking like him. She ain't got no fucking limbs.
Yeah, yeah. I was thinking that someone on that, the show writers like have a sense of humor, because that is like, I feel like that's parodying Anakin at the end of Revenge of the
Dude,
Sith.
she's
Like it
got
is like
Force lightning.
that. that was that was like just fantastic. I really liked it. But so we did the comparisons there. Let's start backwards here, because I'm going to do a
Okay.
compare and contrast of the first season towards the end of this review. But let's start with this last episode, because it's the newest one. And if you didn't see it, we're going to spoil the shit out of it. So here we go. This starts out with everybody from the last episode in a pretty bleak place. They can't seem to be taking down Homelander. Vought seems to be getting what they want. What did you think about in the beginning, that PSA that Homelander does? If a supervillain attacks, that shit was so fucking hilarious. I was laughing
Oh
my
man.
ass off.
So you know that was a parody of the Captain America frickin' things, right?
Yep, yep. I picked it up right
Oh, it
away.
was great. I was like, oh man, this is spectacular. I was like,
And
this is like the frickin' 40s or 50s with the nuclear bomb. Hide under your desk and kiss your butt goodbye.
and then they did take a shot. There was a thing, I think Trump said it or one of them, where they said we should arm teachers. So they
Oh yeah.
also snuck that in too, but they didn't make it overtly obvious. I just happened to know about it, but I think that it's hilarious that they snuck that in along with the
With a
40s arm thing.
registered Vought firearm, right?
Yep, I was like, see, I don't mind jabs like that if it's like natural, it's part of the whole setup. There's a relevant reason. It didn't feel like it took me out of it. I just fucking laughed, because I was like, they just bashed two things at once. That was amazing skill, and yet you don't feel offended. you're like, yeah, that is what those PSAs are like.
Exactly.
And then we get to the boys, they're getting ready to arm up and say, fuck this, we're just gonna go and take them out. I don't know what kind of weapons they had. I feel like their plan would have ended terribly.
Oh
Um,
yeah, they're gonna go there, they're gonna open fire, and then they're just going to die.
so
Like,
Huey
yeah, I
and
don't know what's in those cartridges or magazines or whatever, because it doesn't seem like it's anything that's going to kill Homelander.
no, it'll slow him down, maybe piss him off, definitely. But I mean, I felt like at this point they were kind of losing hope because they lost their options, and Homelander has Butcher's wife's kids, Ryan. I forget the wife's name all the time. Uh,
Becca.
Becca, there we go. And things are looking pretty bleak. And we have a funny scene that I think this okay, I can't believe I'm gonna say this, but I think this was better than the source material. God help me.
Believe it, man.
Because
Very
they
rarely is the comic book better than the movie or TV show. I have to read the
no,
comic book.
no, I'm gonna call a negative on that. Anyways, we'll get into that debate one day, but no, I think that this is better than the source material because they really flesh
As
out
usual.
Becca Butcher in this episode. And I love how, and we were talking about
I
this
bet
earlier.
you want to flesh her out.
I love how when she goes down and she meets them in that dirty basement. Uh,
This is where you
that
live?
yeah, and Frenchie you see him with a big smile on his face. It,
Just
it
happy
really
as hell. We've heard a lot about you.
Yeah, and I think it really fleshed out Butcher's character because you get to see the side that he doesn't show. And also they get to see like more of his human side. And I think that brings the group closer together and it helps us buy them being this tight-knit group, especially when we get to the very sad thing that happens at the end of this. But
What?
oh yeah,
Oh, you
hearts will
mean
be
that
broken.
Darth Vader?
Yep, Darth Vader fucks everything up. But anyways, so I mean, we have a lot of good moments there. We have A Train having an interaction with Starlight and Huey. I thought it was hilarious. Where he goes up and he goes, "Here you go, you asshole." To Huey, gives him gives him the lore. Like he still fucking hates him, but he
He's gonna hate
hates.
him forever.
Oh yeah, he hates him, but he hates Stormfront more because she's a Nazi.
Fuck that
He's like,
bitch.
he's like, well, who do I pick? The Nazi who wants to get rid of me, or the guy who gave me a heart attack and then asked his girlfriend to resuscitate me? So I mean, he was like, now we're even. So they're even. He's back in the seven, and I thought that was a good little nod.
He didn't get put back in the seven yet. He got put back in the seven later.
Well, you know what I mean, like after that all happened and he gets back in. I thought it was good that they kind of like they didn't use him most of the season, but he still did have an arc. He was at about 50%. He was slowing down, and they kick him out, and then he gets back in. So, and he does it by essentially fucking over the deep. I mean, the deep brings him in, and then he gets in, and the deep is like still out. So
Well,
that
yeah.
whole
One hero is redemption, two is weakness.
yep. There's a lot of great moments. I loved the talk between Carl Esposito and Homelander. I'm just calling Carl Gus because Breaking Bad. That's Gus Fring. So Gus talks to
Who?
Homelander. Yeah, that's a Breaking Bad reference. He was like one of the best villains Breaking Bad ever had. They called
I
him
have no
Gus.
idea who you're talking about now.
The leader of Vought.
Oh, Edgar?
Yeah. But I just think of him as Gus because, Breaking Bad. But yes, him and Homelander, or not Homelander, Billy Butcher have a conversation. And, you know, I'm going to be honest with you. I thought Butcher was going to give up the kid. I was like, he did a really good job. I did not know till the very last second. I don't even think the character knew because he had them and he was like, fuck it, I'm changing the plan. But I don't know. Did you think he was going to trade the kid and just take the wife? Because I thought he was going to do that.
Um, there's usually one plan that he makes with the good guys, one plan that he makes with the bad guys, and then he does his own plan. So I thought he was gonna try and kill the kid because he's about killing soups.
Yeah, I mean, I could have saw that too, but I
I thought he was gonna.
never.
I thought, like if when we get to it, I'll say something.
Yeah, but yeah, I know what you're waiting for. We're getting there. I never thought he would actually like do the good guy route. Like, I mean, he did his own version of it, which didn't turn out well, and we'll talk about that. But you know, it was really it was really interesting to see that Butcher still is kind of a good guy. Eh, I know what happens later, and I have a feeling that's where they're setting it up. But for right now, we'll just say he's kind of a good guy, and you could see where he still has that like humanity, where he just is like, "This is a kid. This is my wife's kid. I can't turn him in and just leave because that would devastate her and she'd never fucking forgive me." And I think that was a line he just wasn't willing to cross. And it was kind of cool to see
Wait,
that
he
Butcher
has
does.
lines that he's not willing to cross.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, at this point, yes. We'll see next season after what happened. I'm sure those lines are now gone, but he does have lines that he's not willing to cross yet. And we don't see a lot of that in season one, but we kind of in this season start to see that he does have a bit of a moral compass. It's fucked up and it's banged up, but it's there. And there's still certain things he's not willing to do yet. He's willing to touch that edge, but he's not willing to go over it. Not when it comes to certain people in his life. And he makes the right choice, and that bites him on the ass.
What do you mean he makes the right choice? He made the wrong choice.
No, I think his intentions were good, but how it played out in
No,
hindsight.
intentions be damned. He made the wrong choice. You gotta kill that super kid. He's gonna be
No,
super
never.
Hitler.
No, no, no. That was no. I think that made the right choice because he could later go to the kid and be like, "Hey, remember that time I didn't kill you? Yeah."
How about you stop being super Hitler and then he beams him in half? Exactly. Yeah, works out great.
Well, the kid clearly showed that he's a way undamaged version of Homelander. And honestly, the only way for him to activate his powers is through anger.
I think he's angry at a lot of people that his mom is no longer with us.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. We have a big showdown. Before we get to that unfortunate scene, they're escaping. Uh, Stormfront comes down and does super lightning. We'll say the Emperor lightning. She does force lightning and fuck shit up.
And then me and Justin went out for a cigarette, and I think he put them on the counter in there.
What's your question?
So the Emperor 2.0 does force
Emperor
lightning on
2
the
point
car.
hot.
Yep. She does force lightning and flips the car. Now, I'm gonna be honest, right here, I thought she was dead. I was like, oh
I
fuck,
thought
they changed it around.
everybody in that fucking car was dead.
Yeah, I was like, that thing flipped 3 times, like, and that was another part where I called bullshit. I understand that the other way was way more dramatic. They should have maybe flipped the car less, but I knew the kid was gonna be okay because Homelander's kid, and we saw him drop him off a fucking roof and be unscathed. But yeah, so he hits the car with lightning, and everybody comes out okay. Butcher is like run, and then they all have a showdown with Stormfront. And I gotta say, this was a pretty epic showdown. The budget clearly went to this fight.
Yeah, they pulled a BVS. I wasn't expecting that. Were you?
Oh no, no, not at all. Like I thought it was gonna be one of those like TV fights. Like there's a few CGI moments, but they can't. No, not fucking Amazon, man. Starlight got some good shots in. The boys did what they could do with
No, I
bullets.
was I was talking about the fact that yeah, you firing bullets at her like it's gonna do something. That it looked like
Yeah,
all was lost because Starlight was fighting. She just broke the neck of the Asian chick, and we
the
thought that
female.
she was about to yeah, that's why I said Asian chick.
Yeah, in the comic
Anyway,
they call her the female, and in the
oh,
show.
okay. And then when we thought all was lost, the queen shows up.
That was a great fight, and props to that chick. First off, Maeve had one of the most interesting arcs in the show. I liked how they used the gay thing and how they showed how the media uses it. uh
How the media uses lesbians that
yeah,
aren't
yeah, I love.
lesbians because she's
Yeah, like
bisexual?
but she's like, bisexual doesn't play well, so.
It doesn't
And then
play
they
as
were like,
well. We need you to be lesbian.
and remember when the gay guy's like, oh yeah, it's proven statistically that it trends better if one of you looks more manly. Like, that is so
That's right. You can't
true.
both look feminine. It doesn't play well.
I was like, so she's going through shit. Her lover left her. When they first visit her, she's getting drunk and she's like, fuck you, I've lost too much. And then out of the blue, she comes and is like, nah, I gotta stop this shit. And she punches the shit out of Stormfront. And like, I was shocked. Like, it really showed how powerful Maeve actually was because we knew she's some kind of like Wonder Woman type character, but like, she beat the fuck out of Stormfront. Like, like, she got in some pretty good shots. And we know Stormfront can heal, and I guessing doesn't really
I
feel
don't
much
think
pain.
she. I mean, yeah, I guess, she's resistant, she's tough, but I don't think that she can regrow limbs. I don't think she's got the extremis in her.
No, but she can heal things because we've seen when like Homelander blasted her in the chest and then it healed. I don't
No,
know if
I
she
get
can.
that. She doesn't have charred tits anymore. I know.
So, I mean, I think her regenerative powers only work to a point. I don't know how that works when your limbs are severed. Because only one character could regrow whole limbs that we saw that season. So, we'll see next season if they bring her back. I have a feeling she's gonna be coming back.
Yeah, I thought that she was gonna die, and then they're like, "Yeah, we're holding her in some undisclosed location." I was like, "Holy fuck, they are turning her into Darth Vader." Unbelievable.
So let's get to that. So they managed to fight off Stormfront. Meanwhile, Let's talk about the
Well,
scene with.
no. You are mischaracterizing that. They didn't fight her off. They beat her the fuck down and were about to kill the bitch. And you see all the guys standing off to the side. And, this is supposed to be where all the SJWs can say, look, we have our moment in the boys. Because I don't remember which one of them said it, but French guy. He said, I guess women really Frenchie said it. He says, I guess girls do get it done. So Stormfront was about to fucking die, and she flew away to find her boyfriend's child.
Yeah, yeah. Or I'm gonna say yeah. That boyfriend's child would be accurate. So, there's two different things happening. So I'm gonna like skip back and forth kind of like the show does. But while this shit is going on, Homelander looks probably the most psychotic he's looked any
Oh my
episode
god.
in both seasons. There is a glorious thing that happens where Butcher fucks over uh on the deal and the SWAT people come in and yeah, they have the phone that set and it says that clever message, hello you cunts or something. And
Oh,
Homelander
the
walks.
cunts from Vought.
Yep, the cunts from Vought. And then Homelander comes in, he's like, where's my son?
My
And
son.
and you have this look. I think it's priceless, and it really captures the scene. This guy looks at Homelander like we are fucked because the look
Yeah,
on
doesn't
that
say a
black SWAT
word.
guy's face.
He comes in, he says, "Where's my son?" I was like, "All these guys are fucking dead, man. No matter what you fucking say, you're fucking dead. You just kiss your ass goodbye. Send the I love you text to whoever you got. Like, if that's your job, you gotta have that shit on fucking speed dial because you're fucking screwed." So what? He gives that black guy a solid, what, 6 seconds, 5 seconds, something like that. And
I know it was really short. It was not enough time to answer a question. I can tell you that.
I mean, it
You
was
could.
enough time to start talking, and the guy just stood there not saying a fucking word because he was shitting himself, and then he beams him in half.
Oh my God. But here's the funny part about that scene. When you see Homelander next, he is covered in blood. So he didn't use laser eye beams on everyone. Whatever the fuck he did was so brutal. The show had to cut away because when he comes out, he's got blood and guts all over him, just in his
Well, you got to
hair.
figure, okay, so he is the equivalent of Superman, right?
Pretty much, yes.
So Superman can do essentially all of the speed tricks that the Flash can do, right?
Yep.
So, he could have, forced his hand through some people, were ripping limbs off, beating some people with some limbs, literally ran through another person. Like, there's a lot of way to cover yourself in blood. And he just walks out of the house drenched in fucking blood.
And the best part about this is that I really respect is that the show is very like hardcore, but I think this scene works the most because they don't show us what he did. So your mind is just wandering like, oh God, did he rip some guy in half? I mean, did he pull out some hearts? Did he really beat people over the head with their own limbs? I mean, they're
He did
like,
all of these things. There was at least fucking 10 guys in there. Like, that's an opportunity for 10 different kills.
and not only that, the most eerie part of the scene is you see him go in, they cut to what we're going to talk about next, and then you don't hear nothing. You don't hear anyone screaming. You don't hear nothing there was just nothing. It was just you heard that blast, and then you cut away. Shit happens. You come back, and he's fucking walking out covered in blood. And like that was the most effective use that I've seen of a scene cut. I mean, that really lets you just use your imagination
Well,
because
I'm
they
sure that
will.
there's going to be a bunch of people out there that are going to be like, what the hell? You show us all these other gruesome things, but you can't show us Homelander ripping these guys apart? Because they don't understand that that's the point, is your mind is supposed to wander. Like you just watched him, what, 3 episodes ago or something like that? In a dream, a daydream, whatever, incinerate or whatever, slice an entire crowd of people in half. I think you can deal with, using your imagination once or twice.
Yeah, I mean, not to mention the very last scene. I never needed to see that. Uh, but
What do you
yeah,
mean? They can't cut that scene out. That scene is crucial to the minimal amount of character development that they give to Homelander.
but yeah, I mean, like even though they don't give a lot of character development, we still have a clear understanding. Like in this season, you could tell his mind is fracturing. Like if you thought before he was unstable, by the end of the season, he's really fucking unstable. Like you can literally see him like ripping apart at the seams, which is interesting because this plays a lot into what happens in the comics. And I like how how they're developing it. And heads, hands to Anthony Starr, who plays Homelander. He is amazing, and just the way he can convey things without saying a word, like just his facial expressions and the way he plays the character. He's like one of those actors where you go, this character was made for him, you know?
Okay, so now here's a question. When he was on top of that skyscraper doing what he was doing, obviously he can control the rate at how it's coming out because he did not kill Becca when, I don't know if he date raped her or whatever the hell he did to her to have sex with her. It doesn't matter. But I thought for sure, because his eyes turned red, that he was going to accidentally fire off some laser eye beams and like blow up an apartment.
Yeah. Like, man, I was just like, when I was watching that scene, I couldn't even analyze it because all I saw was Anthony Starr's white ass butt cheeks, and I was like, oh,
Well, when
God.
it starts, it's kind of zoomed in at an angle, and he's not being, let's say, overly vigorous. And the
Yep.
wife goes, is he fucking jerking off? And I was like, yeah, I think so. She's like, what the hell? And then they pan out and he's standing on top of a skyscraper. And I was like, what the actual fuck? And just saying over and over, I can do whatever I want. I can do whatever I want. I can do whatever I want. And I was like, okay.
I mean, and he can. Like, who's gonna
I mean,
stop
I guess, like,
him?
nobody has found a kryptonite for Homelander yet, hey?
No, I know.
Like, no, like I want. Obviously, people who have read the comic already know. So you don't be telling people that only watch the show. Don't spoil that kind of shit. My question is Homelander strong enough to not have his head exploded?
Um,
How does that
yes,
work?
because if you notice, they did the whole BVS thing with the sound waves, and it just pissed him off, and he followed it. Kind of the same concept. Psychic abilities for some reason, and it's not even explained in the comics. That shit doesn't work on him either.
I mean, do they explain how this chick's powers work for exploding brains?
Oh yeah, and I'm not gonna ruin it, but yeah, there's an
Okay.
arc they're gonna clearly cover in the next season, and I heard a rumor of this setup. but now it was confirmed to me at the end of this episode. So I know exactly what arc they're going to. Now, I don't know because they've changed a lot from the comics. I don't know if they'll do it exactly like they did, but because they already gender swapped the character, but it is essentially the same character as the comic. So it's going to be very interesting to see. And yeah, and it's a long-term story arc, so it's going to be interesting because they
Well,
have
I
killed off
assume it's a
people.
long-term story arc if you're playing both sides of the coin.
And I mean, here's the thing with Lamplighter, they actually uh they killed him off, and in the comics he didn't die. He was a zombie thing. So I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how they play it because there's a lot more to Compound V too that they haven't even dove into about that. So there's a lot of different directions that the show can go. And it's interesting because they're at this point blending the comic, but they're putting their own twist on the story. And so let's get into my theory because I connected this earlier and I was explaining it to you, and I'll fit in with this next part. Uh, Butcher's wife gets cornered by Stormfront. Uh, she's being choked the shit out of, and it's a really great scene because at this
Hold on.
point,
She's being forcibly choked.
I see what you did. Star Wars connections all night. So she's getting a force choke, and we see the kid, and I knew this was coming, but I didn't know the way they were going to play this. And I don't know about you, but for me, the scene worked, even though they faked her death in the first season. And then, we all got shocked, like, wow, his wife was alive. What a bitch. And then, like,
Ah,
that's what I thought. The first thing I thought was that fucking bitch. Like, that reveal shocked me as a person who read the comics because I was like, oh shit, this is a good twist. Oh shit, what a cunt. She like she was just chilling with his kid. What a bitch. Right? And I'm straight hating her. But then we had the episodes and they explained what happened. And then we had her meeting the boys. I'm like, oh, maybe she'll be part of the boys clique. That'd be so cool to go on adventures. Right? And I was like, and then I thought about it. I'm like, no, wait a second. If she comes back, then Butcher's gonna obviously go with her and the show's over. Oh wow, they're gonna end it at season 2. And then she's force choking the mom, and we all know what happens when little Homelander gets mad.
what
And
do you mean? Nobody knows what happens when he gets mad. He doesn't know how to hate because every time he says hate, he has to put money in the swear jar. But
well,
thankfully, in the middle of the woods, there is no swear jar.
yeah, he lasers the shit out of her, and this is the interesting part. He lasers her, and I still didn't pick up on the ramifications, and neither did Billy Butcher. But she goes flying, and he just like that was a full on Superman fucking laser eye beam. Like he straight up Anakin Skywalkered her. She had no limbs, she was burnt to shit, and she was speaking in German. So I don't know what the fuck. Like he straight lasered her brain. I don't know. She just reverted back to like Hi Hitler. Uh,
Yeah, he knocked her back 100 years with a laser beam.
like that was some shit, and I was like, you know what's funny? I was thinking Star Wars when I saw that. When you bring it out, I was like, yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Like it was a funny parallel and everything, but alas, Butcher's wife is for real, lasered across the neck, and
Okay, wait a
bleeding out.
second. You think that the laser caught her neck?
Yep,
Okay.
because remember when he shot his beams uh, at the can and disintegrated it, there were like little burn holes. So it's sharp if it like nicks you on the corner. And I'm thinking it was kind of like a razor cut across the throat. So she caught the like tail end, and he doesn't have good aim. So, and that's
He
genetic
doesn't have
result.
Patriot aim.
Well, that's genetic because remember when Homelander shot at the plane? I think it was episode 5 in season 1, where
Yeah,
he
he
was.
sliced that motherfucker in half. It was sweet
eh,
as hell. What an evil
Yeah,
bastard.
so neither of them really use their eye beams effectively unless they want to. I mean, he did cut that dude in half with precision. So, yeah. But I mean, they both have very sharp. We've seen Homelander cut someone in half with his laser beam. So I think that he did nick his mom in that attack, and she was bleeding out and died in Billy's arms and made him promise that he would protect her son. And this works on 2 levels because then Homelander comes, and I think he was really going to kill the kid. And I think for a split second, Butcher was thinking about letting him do it. Because did you see his face? He was like, you know, did you see what
Well,
this little
yeah,
fuck did or something?
he killed his Nazi girlfriend.
So he was pissed about his girlfriend dying, and Billy was pissed about his wife dying, but neither of them would get the chance because Queen Maeve was like the VIP of this episode. And finally, the plane footage comes into play, and she's like, "Do you want to lose the love of the people? Because I'll show this to everyone, and then you will have nothing." And he was like, "Fuck that. I'm out."
Well, he said, "You do that and I'll burn it to the ground." And she's like, "Well, fine. I don't give a shit. At least nobody will love you anymore, and they'll know what kind of monster you are."
And that's the
And
great thing because he is a monster. I think on some level he realizes he's a monster, but he doesn't want to show that side to the people because at the same time, he likes the perception that the public has of him. Like it's almost like through them, he justifies the shit that he does. Like, oh yeah, I
well,
killed all these
yeah.
people, but I saved all these other people. And it's kind of an interesting spin on the superhero, right? Because we saw that in Civil War. Like it's a good parallel. Like, yeah, we see these cool hero battles, right? But you never hear about the people who die in between there. That was what Civil War was about, right? Like, yeah, Captain America saves the day. How many fucking people got like shit that fell on them during the attack on New York? Their
Seven.
cars destroyed. You know, there was collateral damage, but we never hear about that. And that's kind of the same thing with Homelander. Like a lot of innocent people, a lot of innocent people have died, but the public only sees the people he saves.
What do you mean? We hear about all of the innocent people for an entire fucking movie during Batman vs. Superman, because that's the only fucking reason Batman wants to kill Superman is because he killed some of his employees incidentally. No matter the fact that he literally saved all of the rest of them.
Yeah,
Like, I didn't
yeah,
see you lifting a fucking finger to fight Zod then, Batman.
no, because no one would want to fight General Zod, or at least
Okay,
that's what I
General
hear.
Homelander.
I've been wanting to meet this General Zod. I hear he's a great guy. Anyways, I think that it plays that very well. So at the end, you have he dies, and now here's the awesome parallel. and people who watch it at this time or who's dropping in and out because you haven't seen the show, when you do watch it, um, the best part about this is that this is actually the origin of the boys. I'm waiting for a dun 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 gasp. What?
Oh, I was supposed to go dun dun dun.
That exactly. So if you guys don't know, there is source material. I know PB's gonna nod off for a second, but
We'll
there
be
is
back
an
in five
issue.
minutes.
There's an issue where it's called The Boys Origins. And there's The Boys issue 1, but the origin story is actually when we get kind of context to Butcher and the rest of them and how they all met up, right? Now, I was under the assumption, like many who've watched this, that the first season was the beginning of The Boys, but that was actually them just assembling, right? They did other missions, but they weren't under the tagline, The
Oh, that was
Boys.
Billy Butcher just doing boys assemble. God, that doesn't work as well, hey?
No, no. So when you get to this, what they have in the comics, they establish here because the boys were meant to regulate soups that got out of control. The boys were sent in to,
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
well,
Wait a second. The boys are run by Warren G.
yes, and Mallory. Oh, that rhymed. Uh, so this was actually Mallory putting the boys together that we know them in as the comics because they weren't directly trying to fight the Seven per se. They were in charge of making sure Soups didn't get out of control. And of course, Billy had a grudge against Homelander, so he was off doing his Billy the Butcher things, trying to take little pot shots at Homelander while Homelander did the same thing, but they never really fought each other. It was just little jabs here and there. And so now we see in this season, they actually set up what the boys are. You have Mallory in charge. You have them saying, hey, we're going to assemble this team to make sure that soups don't get out of line because we got more popping up. And this is the actual formation of the boys. And I thought that that was cool. They played the events backwards and they remixed how the history happened. And this to me is how you should do your show. You don't have to follow the comic book verbatim. People who've read the comics don't want that. We already know what's going to happen. And people who've never fucking seen it won't understand it. So they introduce you to the characters. They show you all of the all of the sequence of events, and then they give you new stuff, and then they introduce you to the world and the story, and they kind of pick up from there, and they can choose to use certain aspects to enhance their show. And I thought that it was really cool that now season 2 is actually the start of the different things that the boys are going to do, because they got X-Men knockoff and Young Avengers and things like that they make fun of, that also become kind of missions and whatnot in the comics. They even have like a Stan Lee in there. So
Oh, really? So they're going to start to have post-credit scenes too?
there is some like side panels and stuff that they do, but I mean, yeah, I think they could do something like that to mock Marvel. But it was really cool that everyone who makes this clearly has read or they have some kind of love for the original material, and they are really doing it justice, and I really enjoyed that ending. So as a whole, I think it was a pretty good season. I think it kind of suffered in
Was
certain
better than
aspects.
season one.
Oh yeah, I'd say that this ending had a lot more action than the season final of the first one, but the first one's first few episodes had better pacing. This one took a little bit, but those last like
Oh,
3
yes.
episodes, yeah, the last 3 really fucking kicked it up a notch. But the first couple
No, the
we're just
first
kind of
couple, you just kind of, it seems like you're almost going through the motions where you're like, what exactly are we doing right now? Like, are we going after superheroes? Are we going after supervillains? Who are the good guys?
and here's another thing I wanted to point out before I start wrapping this up because I didn't want to do too long because a villain's got to work tomorrow at 4, and I'd say Homelander's kryptonite is early mornings. But
General Homelander.
but I will say the one good thing about this show is that they understand the culture and they walk the fine line well. Like they understand the way our media is, and they don't take a side one way or the other. And the greatest message that I loved was if you look at the ending of this, everybody serves the corporate and political agenda. And that's true to real life. Okay, so let's look at the boys at the end. The boys wind up working for Mallory, who's working for that general guy who
She's
doesn't
working
want
for
to
the
be,
CIA.
who's working for the CIA, right? Who is trying to stop Vought from getting the V compound out. They have their own agenda. That one senator chick wants to stop Vought, but I feel like she wants to keep the compound V for people within her own group, right? The government. And of course, Vought wants to release compound V to everyone for their stock prices. He even comes up and says, what's his name says, it's all about the money. It's about the bottom line. So
I
he's the
don't
corporation.
know. I don't know if that congressman wants to stop Vought. I think she wants to appear to stop Vought. But if you have no villain to fight, who are you supposed to rally your troops against?
I think that she wants to control, like everyone else, who gets the compound V, just like Stormfront wanted to do, but in reverse. She wants to give it to government officials and things like that. So everybody they want this compound, but for their own motives, right? Everyone has, as we always talk about on this channel and other channels do, everyone has their own agenda. Everyone has what they want to pursue, their own interests. Some are clearer than others, but everyone has their own agenda. Even the boys fall into their own agenda, and the heroes and the villains are actually just part of they're all part of a group. Even poor Huey at the end goes to work for the very person who attacked the Senate, and he has no idea. So at the end of the day, the boys kind of represent us, where we all wind up serving some kind of person who's part of this big, grander machine.
Whose machine?
The man. No.
Oh,
Uh, you know, at the end of the day, it shows that no matter who they are, heroes or villains, in this world, they're all part of a group who has their own motives and agendas. And even though they think they're fighting for their own reasons to make things better, they're actually really serving one person or another. And I think that message was really neat because it shows that no matter what, people are still serving some kind of person at the end of the
you're
day.
always moving somebody into the position of power. No matter what
Exactly.
you're doing, no matter what side you're on, you're always moving someone to the position of power. So let's say that Billy Butcher grabs his AR-15 with super villain killing bullets, right?
Yep.
And he just going around getting rid of all the soups left and right. There are no soups left. There are no soups left in winter, which sucks because it's cold out and soup is delicious. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is somebody is going to be put in charge of whatever people think needs to be taken care of next. So all of the politicians that were railing against the soups, they're going to be voted out of power because nobody's going to care about that issue anymore because Billy Butcher killed all the soups. Apparently Zod hit the back button. That son of a bitch, but it's fine. So then you ain't got no soups out there. And then I don't know who's going to be in charge of everything else. Okay, you're back, General
Yeah.
Homelander.
I
You don't know how to
had
work
to
the
fly off
technology
and deal
either,
with
hey?
someone. Y- Yeah, I had to go. I was looking for my son. He's
Oh
gone.
my God. Yeah, the people in power took him because there's always somebody in power. So
Yeah,
my biggest question once we got to the very end and we found out that the Congress lady is actually the one blowing up everybody's heads. Is that her power from way back in the day? Like she's had it for a long time, as in she was born with it, the way that, or not born with it, but it was given to her as a little kid, the way that all the rest of them were? Or is she one of these first few people that have gotten a quote stable dose of compound V and she's gotten powers from somebody else?
I could tell you, but I'm just gonna leave it at you'll have to wait till season 3.
You think it'll be revealed in season 3? You don't think they're going to hold off on that?
No, with everything they set up, I mean, I've been wrong about some of the direction that the show's been going in, but with this and some of the things I read said, yeah, I think that the next arc they're doing because of their casting and stuff for the next season, which they did during this season, I think that I know the exact story arc and who she is and what group she represents.
Interesting. Good.
And I mean,
I'm glad
I
all will be revealed.
yeah, I think all will be revealed in season 3, and I think a lot of people have fun with the show as we have. So thanks everybody for watching this hour long breakdown and our thoughts, and mostly on the last episode, some on this season and how it compares to uh, you know, Umbrella Academy and season 1 of its own show.
Yeah, if
I
you want
thought
us to
this was
talk
very,
about it more, tell us on Twitter.
yeah, let us know. Also, if you have any questions or you want to know the info that I know, I might do a thing where I'll talk about the contrast to the comic book and where I think the show is going to go and make some predictions backed by some things I know from the comics and some very
Ooh,
clear scenes
that's like
that they rip.
insider trading.
Yeah. There's a scene in particular that told me right away what they were doing because it was directly out of the comic book. And that's the interesting thing about this show is that certain scenes they have literally shot like I wanted to do a video, but it's going to be very hard to do. And I need some different software. But I want to do a video that shows you the panel versus the scene. And when you put them side by side, you'd be like, holy shit, that was like right out of the comic book, just live action. Like they literally ripped the scene from the panel.
Hmm. Maybe I
So
maybe I can figure that out.
I would say go through and look at some images of the comic and then look at some images of the show and you go, holy shit. Because you'll recognize instantly what scenes are from the actual comic book. And there's one particular scene in the final, and I'll see if you can find it, but it literally mirrors an issue of the boys where I said, yep, I know exactly what the storyline is. as soon as it happened. They changed the person and they changed the building, but it was essentially the same scene.
Interesting.
And
Well, I'm
that's when
glad that
I,
they're changing enough stuff so that even the comic book readers don't know immediately.
yeah, I only knew it because I recently got done reading the issue because I've been going back through and reading my compendiums of the boys so I can kind of, pick out different things. And yeah, when I happened to read this issue as the show aired, and I go, "Holy fuck! I just read this," and I went back there. I go, "Oh, yep, there it is." Like, okay, so there's a lot of Easter eggs there, and they do leave a little breadcrumb if you're a hardcore fan. They're like, you pick it out and be like, "Yeah, I know." But then again, who knows? This guy's very good, and I'd like to point out too, this is also the same person who wrote the first 5 seasons of Supernatural.
So why did he give up after that?
Because he wanted to end the show with the perfect ending that season 5 had, and CW was like, "Nah, we're making money."
We're making 10 more.
So he bowed out. He did this final season. I think he did write one of the episodes towards the end.
Intriguing.
But yeah, he's apparently a huge fan of the boys. So when this project came up, he immediately wanted to take it, and he's doing a spectacular job.
I
So
would have
yeah,
to agree.
so that's our talk. Everybody, tune in tomorrow. It'll be 8 again because I have to work. Or
Yeah, we get to talk about
something.
the vice presidential debate, right?
No, we're gonna talk about ballot harvesting. What is it
Yeah,
and why?
they didn't have us harvest any ballots at the vice presidential debate.
Maybe, maybe not. We're
Okay,
not
don't
gonna
worry.
reveal until.
I'll bring it up. I'll distract your pops. It'll be easy.
Yeah, we'll talk about that and much more. Check it out, and we're gonna have my dad on for that one, and for everybody who's watching or will watch this later after they watch season 8 or season 2, episode 8. Check that out. Check out the other stuff that we got coming in here on the channel, and of course, next weekend we'll be doing our late night talks. Hopefully, there'll be shit and entertainment to talk about besides
Or else we'll
Corona.
have to do a versus.
Ooh, yeah. Maybe we can figure out what's gonna verse what. I got a couple ideas. But anyways, thank you everybody for watching. Share, like the video, and as always, remember the only rule here in the fandom zone: kneel before General Homelander.
What an American